Welcome back to another episode of What's the Difference? Man, how time flies. We looked at a few things during our short run here. We looked at magazine carriers, we looked at chest rigs. Last week we talked about folding stocks. Have you managed to watch those? If you haven't, well, you know what the drill is. Pause this video, click on the card above, or you can find all these videos in our playlist conveniently organized for you in the description below. So, what are we talking about this time? Well, since we talked about the rear of the gun, yes, we were talking about rears. Now, how about let's talk about the front? More specifically, handguards. Handguards nowadays almost come a dime a dozen. They come in every shape and size imaginable, from the old quad rails with standard Picatinny to Keymod, who came and went, to now the ever so popular M-Lock. Now, as I previously mentioned, they come in all shapes and sizes. So really, when it comes to the modern handguard, or for lack of a better term, the rail system, what are the differences? I mean, look at these. Can you tell what's the difference as to which one's the real steel one and which one's an airsoft version made by us? Truth be told, a lot of the modern handguards made by airsoft companies are made exceptionally well with fairly good quality materials. They look great and they emulate the real one almost one for one. So getting back to what I was saying, can you figure out which one is which? Well, if you guessed the black one is the real steel version, you'd be right. And this one is the airsoft version. Now here we are once again using SIG products as an example. Well, I enjoy using SIG products as our prime example here because they seem to be the next evolutionary step of the AR-15 platform. Now these two are incredibly well made and easy to install handguards for the MCX. At first glance, I'm sure many of you probably could not have told the difference between these two handguards, but there are some differences. Number one is the weight. The real steel handguard, the black one, is a little heavier than ours. Not by much, just a tad. Outside of weight, the other difference you're going to feel with these two is when you grip it. There's something about this real steel handguard that feels very smooth to the touch. It feels almost like there's a special coating on this. Now, ours doesn't feel bad at all, not one bit, but there is just that little bit extra smoothness when you hold this real steel one. Now, when it comes to similarities, they both install the same way by using this hook down here. This is the real one, and ours just interfaces the same exact way with the same hook that comes with your MCX Virtus. So if you want to just change this thing out, you can take that one that comes with your original rail, pop this into this shorter handguard, slides on, just like how the real one would, slide on to the real MCX. So why are we talking about handguards today and specifically wanting to highlight the differences between them? Now, here's one thing that you want to keep in mind. Not every handguard mounts as easily as, these SIG handguards. The reason why I'm using these today as a demonstration is because how ours and the real one is really so similar, even in terms of how they interface with your airsoft gun. Now, I can't say the same about other handguards. You see, for a variety of reasons, real steel handguards don't necessarily work with your airsoft guns, and most importantly, vice versa. Now, the last thing you want is if you're shooting a real gun and you have an airsoft handguard on there, God forbid something happens, and you get hurt. Now, of course, we shoot airsoft guns, so this problem really isn't that big of a deal for us. However, what does present itself as an issue is all the different airsoft manufacturers, a lot of times, they do have a different mounting size right here where it mounts to the upper receiver. So a lot of times you're going to need a specific barrel nut to make sure your real steel handguard mounts to your upper receiver. So, the point I'm trying to bring home today is when you're looking at real steel handguards versus airsoft spec handguards, you may buy something that's super cool, rated for real steel, that you may even find for half the price or a great deal on the internet. But the issue does arise is You never quite know the exact fitment of that handguard, and will it mate nicely to your upper receiver without extensive modifications. So for you guys watching out there, if you're interested in getting nicer handguards, real steel handguards, make sure you really find out the specific size and dimension or the spec of your airsoft gun before you dive headfirst into something and sink a bunch of money in it to potentially damage what you have going on. In this series, what I really wanted to do was to highlight some basic differences that many of us face when starting to play airsoft, especially building out our guns, building out our loadouts, or building out our equipment. A lot of times, the jumping off point into our hobby can be a little bit daunting. And hopefully this series was able to help you understand some of the basic fundamentals in starting your airsoft journey. Now, thank you for hanging out with us for this first season of What's the Difference. I am already taking notes and thinking about what season 2 is going to be. Make sure you guys leave me suggestions in the comment section below. If you haven't done so yet, hey, give us a like, subscribe to our channel, follow us on social media, and until season 2 or other series on our awesome channel, I'll catch you guys next time, and thank you for watching.